It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life, and I'm feeling good. Well, okay, maybe good isn't the best word for it, judging by the scenery here, but at least I'm alive, I guess. Now, before I go any further with this video, I should point out that Far Cry New Dawn takes place after the ending of Far Cry 5, so if you're still avoiding spoilers for a game that's almost a year old, it's best to make like a seed and grow away. Get it? Because Joseph's seed? Blech. Anyway, still here? Excellent, because Far Cry New Dawn is a post-apocalyptic follow-up to Far Cry 5, and in the following video, I'm going to tell you 9 things you need to know about this explosive new spin-off. Far Cry New Dawn is scheduled to release on February the 15th, 2019, and it's set 17 years after the apocalypse that tore through Hope County and the rest of the world at the entertainingly improbable end of Far Cry 5. So yes, that means New Dawn is set in the same Hope County map as Far Cry 5, albeit one that's been massively revamped and transformed by a nuclear firestorm. All the buildings you remember from your time in Hope County have been completely destroyed, or they've been refurbished in some way by survivors of the apocalypse. Some of the zones you will have visited previously have been completely wiped off the map though, meaning you can't go there anymore. But most of what was there, in terms of map size at least, is still there. Think of Far Cry New Dawn then as a spin-off similar in scale to Far Cry Primal, rather than the wacky neon Far Cry 3 offshoot, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon.
Nobody threatens my planet.
It's clearly a smaller production compared to Far Cry 5, as evidenced in the slightly smaller price tag of about £40 or so at launch, and it's got this lo-fi, slightly dirty feel to it that will hopefully encourage a more outlandish, experimental spin on the formula. Far Cry Primal, for all its failings, managed to take the series to some interesting new places, so hopefully New Dawn can offer something more than just a post-apocalyptic reskin. The backdrop of the game is being pitched as a return to the frontier days and a new Wild West, with pickup trucks instead of horses and AR-15s instead of bows and arrows, although you'll probably get to dick around with those too. It is still a Far Cry game, of course. The new villains, arguably the most important part of a Far Cry game, are twins Vicky and Lou, who are the stars of the game's cover. You'll also be pitted against 2 different factions that are fighting across the remains of Hope County. These are the survivors, the residents of Hope County who saw through the cataclysmic events and have found a new life as farmers in its wake, and the highwaymen, scavengers who've recently come to the west in search of resources. As I touched on above, the close proximity to the apocalypse means players will see some characters from Far Cry 5 making a return to Hope County, although their outfits undoubtedly will be much tattier this time around, what with the lack of pre-apocalyptic conveniences and all. But this 17-year time gap means there's also scope for plenty of new characters too, many of whom play a part in the returning Guns for Hire system. Carmina, for instance, is the daughter of Far Cry 5's Nick, who you may remember was the baby you helped deliver as part of a story mission in that game.
You probably don't hear this enough, but thank you.
She's joined by Nana, who's set to become an instant fan favourite. She's a narcoleptic, foul-mouthed grandmother who also happens to be a mean shot with a sniper rifle. Oh, and of course you still get animal companions as well, including a replacement for the goodest of good boys Boomer, who's named Timber. Timber's not the only animal you'll have at your beck and call though. Another we heard about was a wild boar called Horatio. Hopefully he doesn't suffer from sausage aim like I do. Oh, and in an incredibly welcome expansion on the Fangs for Hire system from the last game, your companion animals can finally get into vehicles with you. Among other things, this also means you can ride into battle with a Timberwolf in your sidecar, if you so wish. It's the stuff dreams are made of.
Hey, lady.
They always had
There's a new focus on crafting in New Dawn 2, made a bit more palatable by a brand new vertical crafting menu that brings everything easily to hand. This plays up to the makeshift aesthetic that defines much of the game. Vehicles are rusted and cobbled together out of what can look like corrugated iron, while weapons are the same. An 1887 rifle has a kitchen knife hastily taped onto its muzzle, for example. There's customization with your own character too, of course, with various perks and cosmetics to unlock. And, as you could in Far Cry 5, at the start of the game you can choose your character's gender, colour and body type. Beyond that, you also get a new home base that works as an upgradable camp from which to host your operations. Here, some of your decisions in the game world are reflected, and as you progress through the game, more and more people will move in.
You know, I can't help but smile when I see you. Seriously, you're just always so ready to fuck with the highwayman. It's cool. It's really cool. I like that.
From your home base, you'll also be able to board a helicopter and go much further afield to take part in expeditions. This is an all-new feature for Far Cry New Dawn that sees you heading out for brand new areas outside of the limits of Hope County. In the one example being shown right now, the player visits a Louisiana theme park deep in the bayou. This is a standalone map that's around 1 kilometre square in size, and it hosts mainly co-op-centric missions, although you can play them through solo if you'd rather. Other locations teased include the West Coast and a canyon.
Over there!
There are some other small changes to the core Far Cry 5 gameplay too. Animals will now take prey in their mouths back to their dens, which can in turn be scavenged, while several of the standard Far Cry outposts now contain small, self-contained puzzles and their own tales that are told through the environment. Actually, on that subject, there's now an escalation system for outposts too, a 3-star system for clearing them out at different difficulty levels.
Here, I think.
My rear's in here! Let's go!
Finally, it's worth pointing out that the Far Cry arcade is gone in this instalment. Much like Primal, New Dawn is shipping without the usual competitive multiplayer modes and level editor. That means you're limited to co-op expeditions and single-player shenanigans in and around the main world. That's not a terribly bad thing considering Far Cry's habit of messing up its multiplayer lobbies, but still, it's worth bearing in mind if you're massively into map making.
Gotcha! Can't hide from me!
I'm charging in!
I got eyes on some hoodlums! I see some disrespectful stucco!
Watch out! That shit's
I got eyes on some bad folks!
You got it! Sending you the pickup spot. Once you start moving, the highwayman will be looking for you, so move fast. Entrance to the park looks clear. I'll land there.
What the? Hey, stay alert! Someone's taking our stuff!
The highwaymen are going to keep sending reinforcements, so let's not waste time and get out of here as soon as possible.
And that, my Far Cry friends, is that for now. I'm sure we'll learn much more about the game the closer we come to release, but for now I think this video has given us all a good understanding of what to expect from the post-apocalypse. If you want more Far Cry funsies for your face, we've done plenty of videos about most of the games in the series, and you can find some of them on screen now. Do like this video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe and tickle that bell button if you want updates on future Far Cry New Dawn gameplay. Goodbye.